don't know if I'm gonna... This is really bad. I wonder if I can actually just... So I was pretty sure I was gonna get just completely stuck there. It's been raining a lot. I could see, obviously you could probably tell on the video, the huge puddle next to what was left of the original driveway into this place. And so we're just gonna park over here. There's not much traffic on these back roads like this anyway, so for a few people to have to slow down, it's not gonna be a huge deal. Yeah, I don't know exactly what we're gonna find here. It's a really, really old graveyard in the middle of the country. There's a couple of houses that are fairly close by, but it's kind of secluded here. But a really big hill, and I was afraid if I tried to drive up it, I would not be driving back down. So, as you can see, the puddle right next to this place is so bad. And just a recipe for disaster. And I'm gonna have to try and get as much done here as possible with the G7X here, because it is incredibly windy out today, and already this place is having a lot more traffic than what I thought. But you can see it's pretty deteriorated. This is a great example here. It's a huge divot in the ground. There's definitely a grave there, but no marker left. Honestly, not many things are still standing here. A little bit deeper than what I thought it would be though. And someone is definitely caring for the grass here, so that's good at the very least. This here's kind of sad though. You can see that it's completely flooded, and that's definitely a sign that their grave is actually flooded, because you can see it's right in front of the headstone. So you can kind of tell that originally there would have been a lot back here, and it's just unfortunate that these people didn't get to it soon enough to save some of them. So I would assume this right here, even though it looks like just a stone on the ground, was probably at one time used as a homemade grave marker. And here's a few pieces in the back here. I'm not honestly sure if they're connected to one another. Kind of seems as if they were actually two different headstones, or it may be the base stone for the piece of the headstone that's remaining there. There's a couple here that are missing their headstones, but I would assume that it's these right here. So somebody is keeping track of things. And maybe we'll come back later to do some further restoration work. This is very interesting here. It's almost as if someone at one time thought this was the base stone, and so they began to rebuild it to place the headstone that they found, and ended up digging down and finding that it was in itself the headstone, and the original base stone may be in here, or it might just be a chunk from where the headstone met the ground and was encased in cement so that it wouldn't fall over. Another very large divot here. Some interesting plants here, and a lot of memorial stones here, a lot of headstones that probably over the years had been collected around this tree when people didn't know where they went. And even down here, if you're not careful, you can actually accidentally step on somebody's headstone there. You can see there must be about 10 different stones around this stump here, which is beginning to grow back, it looks like, or those are just other decorative plants that had been there as well. And yet even another either base stone or buried headstone. And you can see a very, very large granite stone, and sort of perfectly documents what I've said so many times about these large stones, and really any stones, that eventually they will come off balance and fall backwards and then sink down into the ground. And this area here is sort of just come into a big pile. Seems like multiple graves have caved in over the years and caused everything to sort of fall together into a group. Another interesting name that I've never heard of. Sounds really close to Peter's Dragon. Again, not really sure on these if they're part of a headstone, a homemade memorial, or just merely decorative stones. We've definitely encountered this last name before. Looks like there could be some veterans right here. Again, another area that's just been jumbled together, most likely because of this massive tree that once stood here. And you can see how far its roots reach. And coming close to the sign here for the graveyard, there's one lonely little marker which is no longer legible at all. Been worn almost completely smooth. This gentleman in the Camaro convertible over there slowed all the way down and stopped to kind of stare me down for a minute. So we'll see if that turns into anything. Sometimes people are just looking to protect the area, and sometimes looking to try and throw you out, so hopefully they don't try and start any trouble, but I kind of doubt it. See, there's a lot of cracking in this particular headstone here. I almost missed this one right here. I wanted to really get a close-up on it. The artwork looks pretty unique. I don't know why exactly. It's not unusual to have artwork like this and to have the flowers like that, but something about the colors and the engraving, it just looks pretty neat. This is hard to, oh, in the right light, this actually comes out quite nicely. It actually has fairly deep engraving on it, but it's almost invisible until you see some sort of reflection off the surface, and then you can make it out perfectly. So let's go ahead and continue on down this last row over here, and then I'm going to check the edges again, see if there's anything that's fallen outside the borders or potentially missed a few things along the way here. Right at the back here is another pile again. Maybe a family section. But a lot of the names can still be made out here. So it's definitely an area that could be restored fairly easily. And here is the fence line, or at least the present day one, although it appears to be aged and decayed enough to be the original fence line as well. And behind is a little stream or creek that's running, so I'm kind of doubting that the original would have gone too far back or had any sort of fancy bridges or anything at the time. And here I would guess that there probably is some writing still on the other side of that headstone, and if they ever come back and start a major restoration process, it may be savable. But I myself would certainly not want to take the chance to try and flip it over and potentially mess something up further. So these are, again, some of the problem areas, and we can even see that they definitely are present here in this graveyard. I don't know if this particular area here has any hidden stones in there. I'm not seeing anything, but you never really can tell what might be buried underneath of all of the growth now that it's spring. So it's kind of difficult to tell if there is anything similar there. I definitely think there is a nest of bees or ground wasps somewhere around here. Because whenever I get to certain places, they start to swarm me a little bit. Lots of smaller stones here with just initials on them. And then a few larger here on the other side. And these here have some very, very interesting dark colors. Here's another example of this interesting last name, which looks like Dragoo. So let me know if you've ever heard of that in the comments. So thank you all for joining me on this adventure over on 539. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn those bell notifications on so you don't miss a single episode over here. And make sure to check out the second channel, which will be linked here at the end of the video. I appreciate all of you coming and watching, and make sure to give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And as always, I will see you guys in the next adventure.